You've achieved so much with ADD. What advice would you give to people struggling with ADHD?
Big question. I think that the first thing is there's something really useful in like just knowing that you have it, doing a bit of research and understanding, as I think we was talking about last time, like it manifests very differently in every person. So not every bit of advice that you're going to get on the internet or whatever is exactly right. But understanding like from research what the like boundaries of how it's make how like having ADHD likely makes your strengths and weaknesses, and then trying to figure out what that means for you specifically, really useful. There are like some very basic things for people with ADHD: doing exercise almost pretty much every day, uh, trying to get regular sleep and rhythm, getting eating right, being a bit careful about what you eat. So like fizzy drinks, pretty bad. Too much red meat, pretty bad. Um, all really useful things. Those are like, that for me is the basics. And unfortunately, of course, in real life, like I never get that right, and I often am sleeping late. And but like the times in my life where I feel like I'm most in control of my ADHD are the ones where I'm able to get a really good rhythm. And so I think that thinking about your relationship with time in terms of rhythm and outsourcing as many of those decisions as you can towards using a calendar, like really be trying to be disciplined about getting to bed. And like as I think I said last time, like it's hard if you haven't done any exercise and your body's not tired. Um, you it just takes a long time to fall asleep. Your mind's whirring around, and so making sure that you get some movement, that's really important. And then in terms of calendaring, like in terms of figuring out how long everything's going to take, the truth for me is it always takes longer than I think it will. Probably like 50% longer, almost always anything. And so being really like realistic with yourself around how long is this going to take me, that's really useful. And then also just like practical little things like using alarms um, in order to leave early, like in order to not be late. And then when it comes to focus and in school and dealing with classes, like the first thing is, as you mentioned, being okay and willing to say, like, I need a break now. Like I've had 25 minutes of work, I'm losing my focus. I need a break. I need to go and do something else and clear my head. Um, and then the other thing is like finding the things that you really love and that you find internally fulfilling. Like the flip side of the H in the ADHD, I guess, is that when you find something that's really, really like you love to do, that can just, you can be absorbed in that and you can look up and it's 4 hours later. And so I just do think there's something, a lot of it is about being in tune, trying to be in tune with your own body and mind as you go about your day and understand how you're feeling. Because what can be really anxiety inducing in my experience with ADHD is like, oh my God, I've like so stressed. I've gone from one thing to the other thing and I haven't been able to focus and I feel like I'm behind because I didn't finish like the work in that lesson or whatever. And like you almost don't notice as like this builds up inside you. And then you suddenly realize you've gone 4 hours of your day and you've just been a little bit on edge. And so it's like getting into good mental habits of just checking in with yourself and being like, how am I feeling? Like, oh, okay, I'm feeling a bit off right now. Like I need to go outside, I need to run around, or I need to go and do a drawing, just take a beat. It's never going to be, you're never going to be the best version of yourself when you're like frazzled, feeling stressed, like beating yourself up. Those are my kind of like, that's what comes to mind.
I actually break those rules. I
Yeah,
eat
me
red
too.
meat. I eat red meat a lot. Sometimes I do. I eat pork, and I sometimes like sleeping late because for me, like if I sleep for a long time, it kind of
Yeah,
works differently because I don't know why, but it just happens to my brain. But also, I take a lot of breaks and stuff.
that's good. This book, ADHD 2.0, is so good at having all of these like really practical tricks. One of the things that it really thinks about is changing your environment and focusing on like putting yourself in the best situation possible to do what it is you need to do. So like the world's easiest example of this is phones are like distraction machines, and they're literally designed to go like ping ping ping, like, and take your attention and crush it. So often it's like, how can we put the phone in it outside of my environment? How can I work in a space which is quiet, where there aren't too many distractions? How can I minimize the number of other things that's available for me to do? And it's amazing how like these little almost like hacks or tricks, they feel like they shouldn't work because they're too simple, but actually they often end up being really, really helpful.
So you don't have a phone, I'm assuming. You don't have Instagram nor anything, only your laptop is there. That's it.
I have a phone, of course. I think it's hard to live in modern world without phone. But what I
Me
mean
too.
is like when I need to work, I'll put my phone in another room. I don't have Instagram. I do have Twitter, sadly, but I like I'm probably go on. Actually, weirdly, in lockdown, right when everyone else was, I think, spending way more time on social media, for whatever reason, I managed to like train myself out of the infinite scroll. So now I probably like will
I actually,
recheck.
during lockdown, I never had Instagram, but then my parents allowed me to have Instagram for my 13th birthday, and
Mhm.
then it's kind of addictive a bit. So, and also it's easier to chat with your friends than not
No
chatting.
kidding. It's designed to be addictive. Yeah. Um, Instagram is yeah. I don't know. It's all about like setting boundaries, I think, with yourself, and like the hard thing is, in my experience, is on the margins when it comes down to like ping. All my mind is always going to want to pick it up and like get distracted from the thing I'm doing, and
How do you?
so whether that like ping is literally my phone pinging, or like the itch to go on Instagram, or like looking out the window and seeing something exciting going on outside, or having a book around that I pick up instead of doing what I'm doing. So a lot of it is like creating environments where those external stimuli aren't there or are less pressing. And it's kind of like a nudge effect where you just like make it easier for you to do whatever it is you have to do.
Mm, yep. But have you ever had Instagram? Never in your life?
Yeah, of course. When I was growing up, I had Instagram, and I was like, oh, I would use Instagram, and I was addicted to Instagram just like everyone else. Um, I just at some point like got out of the habit of it. I found it like, quite unfulfilling. I also like as I, you know, you're like as I had more stuff to do, I you just at some point, it's like, whoa, okay, when in my day am I going to spend 2 hours on Instagram? And I actually don't have that time. So then it became easier to delete it.
So like, but when you were my age, you used Instagram, right? You should like text your friends and stuff.
Yeah, yeah. I probably used, I guess I used Facebook more than Instagram. Can't remember.
Can't remember, but you never posted stuff.
Why I hear that all the kids nowadays are using Instagram. But I never had TikTok. TikTok seems like the really difficult one, but you're lucky that you don't have that problem.
Yeah, but like, cause I've heard in US, like there's a TikTok problem, and someone had a Benadryl. Like there's a challenge in TikTok, and someone had like a child had a Benadryl and it died in
Really?
America. Yeah, he died.
Wow.
But there's one thing you're wrong about social media.
Yeah.
Do you know what it is? Social
What
media
is it?
educates you. Instagram educates me on you.
Sure, I agree. And I'm not like, to be clear, I think that there are many like very magical and extraordinary things about social media. I would say like I've heard people who I really respect agree with you more than me. And so I might be wrong, but my bias, like my instinct is that the kind of education is so unstructured that it's relatively less enriching and fulfilling than the kind of education you get from a book. And that's probably my like slight like fusty elitism. but that's still my like on the margin. And my suspicion is that a book is a more enriching form of education.
Understand.